And now I would like to introduce Mr. Symeon Tsomokos from Delphi Economic Forum, who will be a chair of the next conversation. Mr. Symeon, the floor is yours again.
Before we start our discussion with Peter, I would like to sincerely thank Alexander for chairing so masterly this last discussion. And I must admit, I would love to see an optimistic point of view that perhaps the region, Serbia, might be able to join in 2025. It will be hard, it will be difficult, but optimism, is something important in life. Peter, thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to welcome you to this, virtual forum. I thank you deeply and congratulations about you have achieved in the Bled forum that you host every September. As I was telling you over the telephone, we shall be delighted to find a way of cooperation with either the Delphi forum in Delphi, which we plan to host in May next year, or in Belgrade, or in other fora, because mind you, we do one in Plovdiv, Sofia forum every year, and also one in Tirana with Prime Minister Rama. So I welcome you. And of course, I need to introduce you that you're not only the Secretary General at the Bled Strategic Forum, but also you are the National Coordinator for the Western Balkans at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Slovenia. So with this, please tell us, how was the feeling, how was the atmosphere of the leaders' meeting they have had in Bled last September? There was a kind of an optimism about, the accession of the Western Balkans to the European Union. Is there a fatigue among the leaders that they're waiting so long about this? Can you give us a little flair, about how were the discussions in Bled during September?
Yeah, thank you very much, Symeon, and thank you very much to organizers for inviting me to this very interesting conference. I was, while waiting for my panel and my conversation with you, I was listening to my dear friends in the previous panel, and basically, yeah, it's true. I should be also talking with them regarding the future of the Western Balkans, since I think we are finding ourselves at some kind of crossroads, simply because, also pandemic and all the rest which is happening in the geostrategic community showed that the time to really enhance the relations between European Union and the countries of the Western Balkans is slowly running out. It's slowly running out, and if we are not going to do something important in the next few years, then other players, other actors are going to take our place, and I don't think this is this is something that European Union or the Western Balkan countries would want. Now, the previous panel, and this is something that I would like to pretty much point out. The previous panel again talked about the stability of the Western Balkans. We are talking about the stability of the Western Balkans for the last 20 or 30 years, since the end of the wars on the territory of former Yugoslavia. And we are not talking nearly enough about progress. We are talking about stability, but we are not talking about progress. Stability is one thing, Stability also means, if we look at the Western Balkans right now, status quo. It's stable, more or less. The problem is, if you look at the development gap between the Western Balkan countries and the countries of European Union, this is where we didn't do enough. We didn't close this gap as we have should, in the last 20 years, and this is where there is work for us in the next years to come, in order to better prepare these countries when the time comes to enter the European Union. And this must be done rather quickly, better now than later, because, as I said, the development gap, although we had a lot of initiatives, we have a Berlin process, we have regular meetings, we have, a lot of things which already have been agreed, but the development gap, be it on the infrastructural side, be it on the economic, be it on the energy side, is not getting any smaller. And I think this is one of the most important issues and things that we will need to address in the future relations between the EU and the Western Balkans. And maybe just a couple of words regarding Bled Strategic Forum and how was the mood inside of the EU. You know, EU is finding itself in a very interesting moment, of course. You know, we are living in a geostrategic reality, which is, I would say, as the Chinese would say, very interesting. And European Union will have to somehow adapt to this new geostrategic reality if we would like, or if we want to play a responsible role in the global arena. In this sense, I think in the European Union, or a lot of countries of European Union understand that we can't play a major role without consolidation of European continent. Only Europe, which is united and strong, can play a meaningful role in this new geostrategic reality. If we are not going to go down that road, I fear that, you know, we are not going to be able to successfully adapt to all the challenges which are coming. And I'm not talking just about pandemics, I'm talking about new digital instruments, I'm talking about G5, I'm talking about, you know, the things that artificial intelligence, for example, you know, the things that are coming and where European Union will have to be quick, will have to be united, and will have to somehow find a proper way in order to address these things successfully.
Peter, speaking about the stability factors, I was reading an article during the weekend about Bosnia and Herzegovina, that 25 years after Dayton, the country does not seem, you know, so stable as it should be. And I was wondering whether you have any assessment about this. And also a different question, is Ljubljana perhaps you know, concerned about the Chinese expansion in Southeast Europe? I mean, what is your, you know, what are you thinking about this? And I don't know whether, you know, you have investments from China these days in Slovenia. In Greece, as you know, we have the port of Piraeus, which has been, you know, taken a few years ago, and it is developed, of course, by China. But please let me know about Bosnia and, you know, China as well. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Symeon. Regarding Bosnia, we had at the Bled Strategic Forum a nice conversation with the EU Special Representative for the Western Balkans and for the dialogue between Belgrade and Pristina, Ambassador Lajčák. And we talked also about Bosnia and Herzegovina. What he said is that, you know, it's time to somehow see how could we move, and I think this was nicely put, from some kind of Dayton Bosnia and Herzegovina towards EU Bosnia and Herzegovina, which, you know, it's nicely said, it's nicely put. How to do it? Well, this is a question for $1 million, and this is especially a question also for politicians and the political elites in the country of Bosnia and Herzegovina. But in terms of how we, from the Slovenian side, are looking at this, is that, you know, that we are having a presidency in 2021, second half of the year. And of course, Bosnia and Herzegovina, I think, is also going to be one of the priorities, at least in terms of the Southeastern Europe and the relations between EU and the countries of the Western Balkans. Because we think that, you know, Bosnia is such a peculiar country, which with a lot of problems, with a lot of issues, but also with a lot of perspective. You know, with a lot of perspective, you have such a multicultural character of the country, which is
Absolutely
very interesting and very very nice. In terms of China, and this is what I said already at the beginning, you know. Other global actors are going to be active and they're going to take their chances if we, European Unions, are not going to be active and put on the ground and implement all the things that we already agreed upon. You know, it's not about papers. It's not about documents. We have so many agreed papers and documents that if we would implement them all, Western Balkans would already be in the European Union 10 years ago. The problem is in the implementation. The problem is there is no political will, there is no passion, there is no ambition. And this is something that I'm lacking. I'm not talking about new methodologies. I'm not talking about new technical instruments. What I'm talking is about the lack of political will to actually do what we have already written so many times in the papers. And if we are going to do that, if we are going to help the countries of the region produce or build infrastructural projects, if we are going to help them to kind of transit towards the green agenda and to green economy, then we shouldn't worry about other actors. It's our playground. You know, Western Balkans is in the, at least this is my opinion, in the vital interest sphere of the European Union. And if we are not going to be able to play here in the Western Balkans a meaningful role, then we can't play a meaningful role anywhere in the world.
Peter, a final question regarding the economic developments in the region post-pandemia. You know, European countries like Slovenia, Bulgaria, Greece, whatever, we will get some important support financial from the European Union. I'm wondering how the Western Balkans, you know, will be affected, you know, by the pandemia in the economic field. And mind you, because you are observing very well the Western Balkans, I was wondering how much they're going to, you know, be able to recover or suffer, if you like, you know, from the pandemic afterwards.
Yeah, well, it's hard to say. If we go back to Bosnia and Herzegovina, you know how they say in Bosnia, I mean, we don't feel the crisis because we are in a permanent state of crisis. So definitely, I would like to underline here the help which was being given by the European Union. And I think this is going to go a long way into alleviate all the problems in terms of economic survival after the pandemics. But on the other hand, what I would like to stress is the following. I listened to Tanya before in the panel, which was before me, and regional economic area. This is a beautiful idea. Basically, it's something that definitely needs to be implemented. Some of the things have already been, but there is a lot, much more to do. And the problem which I see is that until all the political and security issues, especially political, bilateral, from historic times, are settled in the Western Balkans, then this regional cooperation will always be hampered, you know. This is why I think, and, you know, I think what was done between Greece and North Macedonia, this is something unbelievable. And it gave so much optimism to regional cooperation and the boost. You know, if you look at the numbers, the boost between trade between North Macedonia, Greece, Bulgaria, it went up after the agreement. And this is why I think this could be some kind of nice model on how to solve, with a lot of compromises, with a lot of political will, with a lot of sense of looking into the future, model how to solve the remaining issues. Because when we solve these remaining issues, also the regional cooperation among the countries in the region will get unbelievable boost. And this is something that I think it's crucial if we want to really implement the things that we agreed upon.
Peter, thank you very much for your time, for your participation. I would like also to share, you know, this optimistic note that sooner or later we are there for regional cooperation, economic and political. And we'll be in touch in the next few months so that we see how Bled and Delphi can cooperate in the region. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Symeon, and thank you to organizers for inviting me.
Sure, thank you.
Bye-bye.
I pass it to Alexandra Vulovic for the rest.